Welcome to a new Daily Top AskReddit video. Today's topic.
What's a problem humanity solved so well that younger people don't even realize it used to be a huge issue? The hole in the ozone layer, one of our biggest, and only, global environmental success stories. And leaded petrol, and asbestos in most countries. Turns out we can do stuff when we want to. Thing about lead though is that even the fucking Romans knew it was toxic. We put it in gasoline because it was a cheap way to prevent engine knocking during a time minimal regulations. We knew it was horrible and did it anyway cause money. We shouldn't get credit for solving a problem we knowingly started. Though, as an American one, sure, I'm glad we took things like that to heart and learned our lesson. Clean water. I was thinking about this the other day while dealing with a stomach bug. After a couple miserable days, I'm fine now, but 100 years ago, my cure, staying hydrated, would have likely made me even more sick if it hadn't also been the reason for my illness in the first place. I remember reading somewhere about the construction of the first continental railroad in the USA. Apparently one of the reasons so many Chinese workers were hired was because they boiled much of the drinking water for tea, so they were significantly less prone to stomach bugs than immigrants from European countries. It is astounding that I can hop into a hot shower. I just turn a handle and there I am, safe and sound and warm. Only 2 to 3 generations old, so recent it's something like 0.03% of human history. Thank God I lived during this time, lol. I am weak and pampered and I know it. I grew up fairly poor and rural. We'd usually lose access to our well in the coldest posts of winter, which meant no bathing, limited flushing, etc., for a few weeks at a time. You better believe I love hot showers. I think I could live okay without electricity, but not showers. Another well water survivor here. Ours wasn't that bad, it was fed by an aquifer. My mom would always fill the bathtub with water before a storm so we could scoop it into the toilet tank to flush in case we lost power. Very thankful for her foresight quite a few times. In the summer we would bathe in the lake behind our house if outages lasted a few days in the summer. If they happened in the winter we would go to someone's house that had power. I don't remember what we did when we were snowed in 1993. Our water heater tank was small so hot showers were short. I remember standing in hot showers for 45 minutes when I went to college just because I could. Stable food and water supply year-round. Long-distance communication, standardized time zones etc. Standardized units of measurement. Transportation, ellipsis. People don't realize that fresh produce year-round is a very recent creation. Heck, people used to rent pineapples. I'm only in my 30s and I remember most fruits being seasonal. Polio. Parents used to not let their kids go to public pools because of it. Creating a vaccine for polio also had the knock-on effect of allowing children to learn how to swim and resulted in less drowning deaths. I had no idea it was spread through pools. I'm going to take this opportunity to tell a family story because it helped me really get just how bad polio and other plagues actually were. My great-grandfather was a piece of shit. He was a chronic drunk, and was always right on the edge of losing the farm because of his drinking. He didn't give a shit if any of his 5 kids had food or clothes. My great-grandma had to side hustle to feed them. One day great-grandma tells all the kids that they have to go into town right after breakfast, won't say anything other than they all have to run errands. They get to town and there's a doctor doing polio vaccines. She got all the kids the shot, then took them home, to her waiting husband who beat her so badly for stealing his drinking money that she couldn't get out of bed for almost a month. I got to hear this story when I found a picture of my grandpa when he was around 10 years old, with a bunch of his friends. I asked him about it and he teared up and told me how that was the summer before 3 of them died of polio. Your great-grandfather was a shit. Your great-grandmother was an incredible mother. Bless her. See also, diphtheria, smallpox, measles, typhoid, tetanus. We got so good at getting rid of diseases through vaccines that people have wholly forgotten just how bad they were, and now many of them aren't vaccinating their kids. I remember when I was a kid I was really into historical fiction, Little House on the Prairie, the Dear America books, etc., and I would have to constantly ask my mom what this or that disease was because I had never heard about it before. And even then, my mom wasn't very good at describing them because she didn't fully know their history either. I know so many mums who won't vaccinate their kids because I can't bear to see them get upset while they stab my poor baby. It must hurt them so much. They don't see how harmful the actual disease is and how much that would hurt the kid. They only know the here and now. Anything solved by vaccines. Victims of their own effectiveness, people forget how nightmarish infectious diseases used to be. I don't get vaccines because it weakens my immune system. Kid, we tried that before. They really don't understand that 1/3 to 1/2 of your kids would not make it past 5 years old only 100 years ago. It was brutal. My mind is still blown that there's a chickenpox vaccine. I remember my parents made my sister breathe on me when she had it so I could catch it and get it out of the way. Yeah, great South Park episode about that. Now it's practically eradicated. It was a rite of passage before. Every kid had to survive a week of hell, except for my stupid lucky brother, as someone never contacted it. Of course, if some stupid anti-vaxxer gives it to him now, it could kill him because it gets more dangerous the older you get. Good point everyone, he probably has, it at least should have, the vaccine. At this point, it's his own fault if he doesn't. I'm just assuming he doesn't due to the doctors not thinking he would need it at his age, but he could just ask for it. Getting online maps and directions. Oh man, I don't have memories before the internet, but I do remember having to print out directions for my mom to get somewhere. Open mouth smile. You used to have to go physically to the AAA office and get paper maps, then take them home and use a highlighter to plot your course. If you drove a lot, you paid for the Thomas Guide maps and kept them in your car. I remember when this switched to CDs with mapping software and data, and that was amazing. You could see it all on screen, with estimated travel times and everything. Now our maps pop up automatically on the magic car screen when we start the car and inform us of traffic delays and speed traps. Y'all young'uns don't know how good you have it. Opening aluminum drink cans, without having to carry a church key, without leaving jagged edges on the can, and without detached tabs is both a choking hazard and a litter problem. Making aluminum cans ubiquitous to the point where we sculpt interesting novelty cans for production. Like energy drink cans with screw-top lids. It's an engineering marvel totally taken for granted. When the Washington Monument was first capped with a bowling ball-sized pyramid of aluminum, it was the largest single piece of aluminum in the world. Now the stuff is litter. Actually extracting aluminum from ore requires so much infrastructure to already be common and commercial that just didn't exist at scale. If we ever lose rubber trees, run out of high-quality sand for glass, or the ability to synthesize fertilizer, we'll have to figure out how to preserve food in clay pots again. We used to have to chop firewood for heat. Everyone would go outside in the fall and chop firewood for the winter. You had to chop firewood for your grandparents who were too old to do it themselves. Some of us still have wood-fired heating, semi-rural, and the slow combustion fire is our only heating. But modern tools help *** a lot. Chainsaws, chop saws and log splitters make it all far easier work than swinging an axe. Closing parenthesis. As a kid I chopped firewood for my grandparents, and I'm not even 25 yet. We chopped wood daily and ricked it up in the shed. When winter came we only split what we mostly had. We usually only chopped or cut one day a week. Being unreachable. We solved communication so hard that silence became suspicious. Oh God, I appreciate technology, but take me to the forest. Disease. There was a very real chance you'd die before your teens of stuff we call preventable. I'd have died when I was 12 before 1921 due to there being no treatments for type 1 diabetics outside of intensive dieting and eventually rotting away into a coma. My grandpa had pee on the stick and guess your blood sugar by the color it turns, technology. My dad had stab a finger and give a drop of blood to the machine, technology, along with vials of insulin and oodles of needles. Now it's all cyborg parts. The hard part seems to be connecting it to the internet to download records for the doctors to see. We're well on our way back there. Measles is already making a comeback, give it a few years and kids will start getting polio as well. Yeah, I've thought about this a lot. People don't know how horrible a lot of these diseases were. Diphtheria is a horrible way to die. There was a kid on my street in 1973 who died from it. He was so young. My uncle had polio and it's very scary. I mean, that's why researchers worked so hard to create a way to prevent these deadly diseases. I still can't get my mind to latch onto how people think it's bad. Doing so well in eradicating many of them is the reason these morons are allowing them to return. They never saw a polio ward or had a friend die from measles. Refrigeration and laundry. Two inventions that have completely changed our lives, yet mostly everyone nowadays takes them for granted. Yeah, people talk about how they want a robot to do laundry for them without realizing the job's been 90% automated away already. I don't think most young people know who Drive Jonas Salk was. Eradicated polio. Polio is not totally eradicated. It's still considered endemic to a few countries and multiple strains, including the original, wild, strain, still exist. The only human disease to be successfully eradicated is smallpox. Sanitation. Not just garbage but wastewater, indoor plumbing. Cholera was a real killer. AIDS. Now they have developed a singular shot that makes it basically disappear for like 10 years. Lost so many friends to AIDS. Yeah, it's crazy. Lost an uncle to it. Weird to think if he had gotten it now he'd have been just fine. Iodine deficiency. People need iodine to be healthy, but didn't get enough until we started adding it to table salt. Agree. Other fortification efforts of food, adding iron to bread products and niacin to flour, both helped with deficiency-based illnesses. Also, folate in breakfast cereals has helped decrease spina bifida in infants. It used to be so hard to get a vending machine to accept a slightly wrinkled bill. I remember going to a vending machine and looking through my wallet hoping I had vending machine approved bills or enough change if not. Sometimes those fuckers wouldn't accept brand new bills either. Had to be just slightly used, but not too much. That move where you have to hold the bill taut and run it along the edge of the machine.